Bon dia from Luanda, which is the capital of Angola.
And this right here
Is the Atlantic Ocean, and it's
the
our first time. On this side we have the ocean, and right behind us you can see so many fancy buildings.
So this one right here is actually the National Bank of Angola. It's got a very beautiful architectural thing going on. And then on this side you see so many giant buildings like skyscrapers, and all of them seem to be, I guess they must be offices of the oil gas industry, which is like the biggest part of the economy here.
But even in between all these skyscrapers, you will see some really old buildings, probably from the 1900s. It's
Yeah.
such a contrast to look at them. In the front you have the old ones, in the back you have the new ones.
I think we quite like our first impressions of Luanda. It's a very interesting mix of old and new,
Yeah.
and we can still feel a very strong cultural vibe here. Like, we can definitely feel this is not the same Africa that we've seen in other parts of our journey so far.
So far in all the East Africa and the Southern African countries we've been to, this I feel is the most developed capital city.
And quite likely that it's only this part which looks like that. And from what we saw while getting off the bus yesterday, those parts of Luanda are definitely more local, definitely less developed, and very raw and real. But this is also quite interesting to see. It's not that this is unreal, it's just a different and more modern side of Luanda.
Yeah.
And a lot of this has to do with the oil and gas industry. Just for
And
a
also the diamond.
Oh, and also the diamonds. We saw this building called De Beers, and we learned that over
They control
80%.
over 80% of the diamonds in the world.
And Shish would like a portion of that control for herself, right?
Of course.
Yeah, she likes diamonds apparently.
Yes. I like how my husband remembers it. This city actually reminds me of Baku in Azerbaijan. Even that city was like at the top of a hill and it gradually slopes down into the water.
Yeah, this
And-
is a very beautiful setting as such, because you have tall buildings on one side going further up because of the land, and then on this side you have very beautiful water. And then behind there you can see a tiny strip of land that's actually part of the Luanda Bay. All of this is called Luanda Bay. It's a tiny portion of water separated by a very thin strip of land that goes all the way to the end where there's a lighthouse, and then it opens up into the Atlantic. So after this, I guess if you keep going straight, you make it all the way to South America. Nothing
go.
else in between. Yeah.
It's about 30 degrees and it's really humid here, but it's kind of breezy. As you can see, my hair is flying. It makes it cooler.
Yeah, it's actually very comfortable when you're in the shade. Otherwise, it's hot and sweaty. And a couple of important things we learnt about. The official language of Angola is Portuguese, so that's what we've been trying to pick up over our time here. But at the same time, there are many tribal languages, or Bantu languages as they're called.
One of them is Kikongu.
Yeah, and then there are a few more which are quite popular. Of course, most people speak Portuguese here because they were colonized by the Portuguese until 1975. And after 1975, we learned that there was a civil war that lasted until 2002, after which Angola truly broke free and became independent. And soon after that, they began to pull out oil resources from underground, and that's how the economic boom began. And now they have all these awesome buildings. It still looks like a very modern world, but of course the prices don't seem so crazy. We as tourists are able to still manage, although it is definitely far more expensive than all the other countries we've
I
been
would
to.
say it's maybe around 20 to 25% more expensive than Zambia.
Yeah, and
That's what I observed while comparing the prices of the food and the items in the supermarket.
Yeah. The one thankful thing is that we're not staying in a hotel. We're still couch surfing here with our friend.
And the good part is the couchsurfing course is right here, very close to this place. You can actually see her building from here.
Yeah.
And her room has the view of the Atlantic Ocean.
Which is so cool. So maybe we introduce you to her later, but for now our plan is to just walk around. We learnt about Yellow Iron Palace.
Yeah.
That's located just up the street.
We could see that also from our house actually. But let's go see what's inside.
Yeah, and then we just walk around, maybe get something to eat and stuff. So welcome to Luanda, everybody. Welcome to Luanda. We are now at the Palais de Ferro, or the Iron Palace. So this entire building behind us, it's made entirely out of iron. There's a story that goes that This was actually built by somebody very close to Gustave Eiffel, who also built the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Somebody very close to him is believed to have built this, or maybe him himself. And then it was shipped from France all the way down here to Africa with the intention to actually send it to Mozambique. While it was brought along the coastline here, this is called Skeleton Coast, where Luanda is located. The ship apparently beached, and then the Portuguese, who were the colonizers here, and they weren't quite friendly with the French, they fought, and then they basically took control of the ship and all of its contents, and they brought this prefabricated house out here and set it up as a palace, an iron palace, and this became the center of art in the Portuguese colony that Luanda was at the time.
It does look pretty fancy. It has these yellow iron sheets and white doors and windows everywhere, and even on the outside they have these beautiful railings. It kind of looks very picturesque.
Yeah, and in typical Portuguese fashion, it's been colored a very bright yellow. It's quite nice to see something bright and beautiful in an otherwise very busy modern city.
One more thing I observed is the buildings are really bright and colorful, but they also have greenery in front of it all the time. It's a nice little garden in front of this palace, and all around you can see pretty colorful flowers and trees and small shrubs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's nothing much more to do here. It's just a building that you could just see from outside. We paid 1,000 kwanza for both of us to get in, and we initially thought there would be something more to see inside, but it's literally just this. It's just a building. We just saw it from the outside and we're pretty much done. Such a contrast. All these buildings are probably from the early 1900s, and then these are all oil and gas money. So cool, huh?
Yeah, old and new.
So we're right now walking again on the Avenidas. I'm not sure what to call it. It's probably a waterfront is the right name for this. But this is a cycle track. A lot of people use this to bike in the evenings, like we saw yesterday evening when we came here. We chose not to vlog it, but it was just some time off that we got to just get a feel of the place, and it was really nice. So maybe today at sunset we plan to come around in this area again. But on the whole, it's very, very neatly done. There's a section there for walking and this section for biking, and there's also a bunch of areas where kids are hanging out, they're playing games. I think they must be here from the local school because they're all still in uniform.
As we are walking on this path, I can see a lot of ladies selling eggs, some bread, fried bread, peanuts and banana chips.
Yeah.
I think these must be the common street food here.
Yeah. And the Angolans so far have been super friendly. Like this one guy just walked up to us. He asked us if we were making a YouTube video, and then he proceeded to just point at buildings and start naming them. The only problem is that we can't understand most of the Portuguese and they don't speak English.
Yeah.
So this is a bit of a challenge here, but otherwise they're super friendly. I think based on the first impression so far, we definitely agree with that one. This behind us is actually an oil corporation's building. Yesterday while traveling on the bus, when the bus actually stopped to fill fuel on the way, we were looking at the machine and the prices were actually very interesting. So the cost of 1 liter of gasoline or petrol costs only 200 kwanza, which is like less than 20 rupees. And 1 liter of diesel costs a bit more, it's 300 kwanza, which is a bit less than 30 Indian rupees. That's a very low price. I don't think we have seen low prices like this since Brunei and Iran.
Yeah.
And this is actually really cool. No wonder they have been able to build so much of infrastructure and make such a big economic progress with the help of oil. So people here are able to use that more freely, and that's helped with the pace of the growth. The oil and gas industry is just one of the large industries here. The other one being natural resources such as diamonds and special metals that are only found in these parts of Africa in abundance. So just like Congo, Zambia and other African neighbors, Angola has very deep mineral rich resources right here under the ground. And that's why a lot of companies came here from around the world to invest and to have access to these materials. So when that happened, especially with the oil and gas boom that happened post the civil war from 2002 onwards, a lot of Europeans began to settle in here. And that's why we could see a lot of white folks as well. So we learned a lot of this from our couchsurfing host, who is a local, who is an Angolan. Maybe we'll introduce you to her later. But she told us that because a lot of expats came here during the big economic boom, the cost of things went up like crazy. So rents were one of the biggest impacted sectors of everyday expense. Things were so expensive that most people could only afford small places in very posh areas because that's where all of the businesses were. And over time, it sort of stabilized and now it's not too bad. But she said that for locals, it has not always been a problem. People have been able to survive, although they're not really on the richer side as the expats are. Not sure what this is though. But it's like a huge X mark right here. Just walked into this alley and there's so much of colorful graffiti here.
It's hidden, it's not even visible from the main road. We're just walking around looking for some place to eat and then we discovered it.
Yeah, it's so cool. So it's just one tiny 100-meter stretch with all these really cool graffitis right on the wall.
Nice.
What's happening, Shish?
It's on lunchtime and surprisingly they don't have a menu at this restaurant, so we just asked the chef to prepare whatever possible with vegetables and rice. So let's see what comes. Given us some shallow fried veggies like corn, onions, spinach, carrot and even some boiled eggs. And the interesting thing is they even have plantain here. This is like the staple food of all Angolans. They eat this like almost 2 times every day. This is like boiled bananas. So I'm going to gather up all of it little. It's good.
Not too bad. I think maybe if they had put some potato and some rice, it would make things better.
Just when Namit was thinking about rice, they just got us a bowl of rice. Now this is a good meal.
We're back on the move now.
And it's cloudy. It's better than how it was in the morning.
Yeah. It's I think it's like a daily ritual where the sun starts quite high up, very, very hot every morning. And then by afternoon, the clouds roll in from the sea. And then it's a bit more better to walk around. So all of this is still the city center. Just found a restaurant with a giant lion.
Should
Or a
come
cat
here
maybe?
It looks nice.
Yeah.
But the one we went to was so colorful and it was all like Portuguese theme.
I guess we were just too hungry at that moment to really think much. And then we went in and we just struggled to communicate, but we ended up asking for something with rice and maybe vegetables, anything local. And they literally gave us vegetables and rice. So, I mean, it was all right, but we were a bit disappointed.
Yeah.
We were a bit disappointed that we didn't find something more authentic to eat, something more fulfilling. But anyway, now, what's our plan, Fish?
I heard there's a fort in town. I think you should go see it.
Okay. I think the fort must be somewhere there, near the flag.
It's a climb up this road. I guess the fort is at the top.
So we are right now at the Palais di Ferrero, which means Ferro, not Ferrero.
Ferrero Rocher.
Just curiously looking at the gas station.
Whoa.
That's a big truck. Why are your eyes red?
I slept in the night bus with my lens on. I was so foolish that I forgot to remove it and now I have some kind of an irritation in my eye and it just turned red.
It looks so crazy. Let's zoom in. Oh, scary Shishira. You should stop rubbing it.
I'm not having it. Subscribe.